Tonight, he's back.
Look what happened. Is this crazy?
Donald Trump to be America's president again. Special live coverage from the US. Kamala's dream evaporates as the Democrats fail in battleground states. Also tonight, an Inaloo father's fight for life, victim of an alleged one punch while celebrating the Melbourne Cup. And flowers for a friend as police probe the death of a WA officer at Medham's Pool.
This is 9 News Perth with Michael Thomson.
Good evening. Donald Trump will head back to the White House for a second stint, the 45th American president, to now be the United States 47th in what's been labelled the greatest political comeback in the history of the country. We have our team of reporters in key locations across the United States tonight. US correspondent Jonathan Kersley begins our coverage.
Donald Trump arriving to applause. The 78-year-old addressing the faithful, declaring victory after all the numbers stacked up in his favour.
I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honour of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president.
He sensed success hours before, greeted by a room full of his closest supporters at his Mar-a-Lago home. In the crowd, chief cheerleader and billionaire Elon Musk, who on X called it early, game, set, match.
You think it's done?
Yeah.
So then we're done. I mean, are you surprised? Because I'm shocked by how quickly this happened.
I'm not particularly surprised.
Australia's richest woman, Gina Rinehart, also in the crowd. On the streets outside,
Florida is roaring right now.
Yes.
Donald Trump supporters tuning in, and they liked what they were seeing.
Everything's looking good from when I see it on TV.
The first building blocks of the Republican candidate's red wall were falling into place.
CNN projects that Donald Trump will win the state of Florida with its 30 electoral votes, as expected. Donald Trump, CNN projects, will win the state of Tennessee, as expected, with its 11 electoral votes.
Fox News can project that former President Trump will win the state of Indiana.
Trump will also carry nearby Kentucky for
It was early days, but there was little blue on the map of red.
Donald Trump has 154 electoral votes. Kamala Harris has 27 electoral votes. 270 are needed to win.
Judgment Day. Trump's campaign continued until the very end.
Our Republicans, we're doing really well. If you're in line, stay in line. Don't let them take you off that line. Vote.
After 2 assassination attempts, the former president felt bulletproof as he cast his vote.
No, I feel very confident. I have felt. We went in with a very big lead today.
Wife Melania by his side, he pushed back when asked to control his supporters.
I don't have to tell them that. And I certainly don't want any violence, but I certainly don't have to tell. These are great people. These are people that believe in no violence. Unlike your question, you believe in violence.
President Trump does not win this election. There will be rioting. People are going to go crazy.
And in his corner, he had a Kennedy plotting his reign.
He wants a revolution, and I think he's going to get one.
But a victory first. Trump seizing momentum and clinching one of the must-win battleground states.
CNN projects that Donald Trump will win the state of North Carolina. This is the first of 7 battleground states that we're keeping an eye on.
Georgia was next to fall, and it wasn't the last. A shock even to his most stalwart defenders.
What we have, Pennsylvania, is this a call, ladies and gentlemen?
It was.
The Fox News decision desk can now officially project that Donald Trump will become the 47th president of the United States.
This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to know.
Once again, Donald Trump has defied his doubters and his critic. Tonight, he makes his way home to Mar-a-Lago to go to sleep as the president-elect of the United States once more. And the world waits to see what comes next. The oldest person to run for the presidency, the first with a criminal conviction. and the first in 132 years to win a second non-consecutive term. A comeback that's made political history. At Mar-a-Lago in Florida, Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
And Jonathan is outside Donald Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago tonight. Jonathan, Donald Trump has returned home as president-elect.
He has, Michael, and in not too far from now, the sun will rise here at West Palm Beach in Florida on a new dawn for this country and a new dawn for Donald Trump, the 4 times indicted, once convicted, a man found liable for rape, is the president-elect of the United States of America, completing an extraordinary comeback, the most remarkable political comeback in this country's history. For his supporters, it was scenes of jubilation, popping champagne corks even before Donald Trump got to his feet on that stage at the convention centre not too far from where we are here. I've stood in this place many times, been inside Mar-a-Lago 2 years ago when Donald Trump announced his run, and back then it seemed implausible that he could be in this position again. But as we've heard, he once again defied his critics, he defied his doubters, and soon he will be returning to the White House once more.
A historic night, Jonathan. Thank you. In contrast to the Trump celebrations, Harris supporters left the Vice President's watch party after it was announced she wouldn't address them tonight. Instead, she's pledged to speak to the nation tomorrow, presumably to deliver a concession speech.
Democrat headquarters, Washington, D.C., in the dying hours of her campaign. Kamala Harris working the phones to try and squeeze out every possible vote. Everyone knew it would be a close race, but the Democrats were optimistic.
Thank you so very much. You know, it's so important that everybody participates.
Thousands gathering at a watch party in the Capitol that already felt like a celebration. Held at Howard University, Kamala's alma mater, just a few kilometres from the White House.
We believe in her, what she's doing, her policies, the plan she has in place.
What inspired you to vote?
The future of myself, my family, my future kids one day.
When a state fell Kamala's way, a mighty cheer. But she was only picking up those she was expected to win.
The Commonwealth of Massachusetts, with its 11 electoral votes, as expected, will go to Kamala Harris.
And Trump was matching her. Initial counts had much of the country turning Republican red. Soon, the crowd was subdued. Then they were showing their disapproval. The former president well on his way.
Donald Trump has 195 electoral votes.
The heat was on, but the Harris faithful were still clinging to hope and praying for a turnaround. The path to 270 is steep, and this is a marathon and not a sprint. But the anxiety here is high, and it feels like Kamala Harris's campaign is running out of steam. You didn't need a polling expert. The faces told the story. The Republican candidate moving ahead in the battleground states, the swing to Trump hitting home. It must run through your head all the time to have Donald Trump running for president after what unfolded on January 6th.
It's insane. It's infuriating. Maybe it's just as simple as a lot of Americans just don't care. It's not a big deal to them what happened on January 6th. That's the only thing I can take away from it.
The final word from the Harris campaign, it wasn't over.
We still have votes to count. We still have states that have not been called yet. We will continue overnight to fight to make sure that every vote is counted, that every voice has spoken. So you won't hear from the Vice President tonight.
He promised she will address the nation tomorrow, a speech that will now almost certainly be a concession.
It's not the elite that's going to pay the price. It's people who woke up this morning with a dream and are going to bed with a nightmare.
Let's now go to Lauren Tomasi in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Lauren, it was a pivotal state to win to become president, and it went to Donald Trump.
Michael, Pennsylvania really sealed the deal for Donald Trump, a key battleground state which turned out to be a key back to the White House for the former president. In every way, this election campaign has been contentious and also historic. Tens of millions of Americans turned out to vote, and today, in a number of polling locations across the country, there were bomb hoaxes amid concerns of foreign interference and claims of fraud, voter fraud. Long lines, voting in America, an endurance test for many.
Our ancestors and a lot of our great-grandmoms and great-grandfathers were actually, they went through a lot to vote. So it's a privilege to us.
There is, though, an undercurrent of division and suspicion.
Well, we're just watching people make sure they don't go in and out. We see if they're doing double voting. And as long as they don't cheat, we should win this.
And division and suspicion has meant a massive coordinated security operation. In Washington, police arrested a man trying to enter the Capitol Building Visitors Centre with a torchlighter, flare gun and 2 bottles.
There was some of his clothing that smelled like gasoline, but not all of it. So it's really unknown at this point what his intention was.
DC police were warned about nails and screws on roads near polling places.
Members in the field are to check the roadways in the areas around ballot box drop-off locations and report any suspicious activity.
Police there say they are on heightened alert, and that will remain until after the inauguration in January. The FBI saying it was aware of bomb threats to polling locations in several states, appearing to originate from Russian email domains. None, it says, was credible so far. And that was most evident in Georgia, with almost a fifth of all polling stations in Fulton County alone threatened.
We planned heavily for the incident of a bomb threat being called in, and it's a good thing we did, because that's the only thing that happened today was 32 bomb threats.
We'll just continue to be very responsive when we hear about stuff like that. We identified the source, and it was from Russia.
Similar scenes in Arizona, plus fake videos claiming officials were up to no good.
It's just another one of those attempts, I think, that we have from foreign actors to try to influence our elections.
And in Florida, Jacksonville sheriffs responded to a suspicious package. But even before the polls had closed, Donald Trump made unsubstantiated claims about massive cheating in Philadelphia, with law enforcement called.
Ma'am, what do you say to Donald Trump's claims of cheating in your city?
Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, we are counting every vote.
At the same time, former President Obama urged people to stay calm and to not share things before checking your sources. In Philadelphia, Lauren Tomasi, 9 News.
Home now to news in Perth, and a father of 2 is fighting for life tonight, the victim of an alleged one-punch attack in our northern suburbs. Inaloo man Glenn Cale was waiting for a ride home after Melbourne Cup celebrations when police say he was set upon by a stranger.
It was supposed to be a day full of fun, but Glenn Cahill and his wife Taryn never imagined it would end like this. The couple attending this Melbourne Cup event at Hillary's Beach Club yesterday afternoon. 9 News understands they left around 4 to pick up their kids, heading to the rideshare line. That's where they were approached by a stranger, 40-year-old Matthew Jennings. It's claimed Glenn Cahill offered the man a spot in their Uber, but he refused, shortly after turning violent. Matthew Anthony Jennings accused of punching the father of 2 in the face, knocking him unconscious, falling to the ground. The 43-year-old, suffering serious head and facial injuries, rushed to Royal Perth Hospital's intensive care unit, where he's tonight in a critical condition. His family beside him telling 9 News, Glenn is a devoted dad to 2 girls and a loving husband. He has an army of family and friends surrounding him with love and support at this tough time. As Glenn Cahill works to recover from what happened here at Hillary's Beach Club, his alleged attacker will spend the next few weeks behind bars. Appearing in court today, Matthew Jennings didn't apply for bail, due back in front of a magistrate later this month. Amber Wilkinson, 9 News.
Flowers are being laid along West Coast Drive tonight following the death of an off-duty policewoman at North Beach yesterday. The constable, believed to work with police forensics, died at Medham's Pool. Investigators returning this morning, knocking on the doors of nearby homes as they probe the death. The WA Police Union today releasing a statement extending condolences to officers, family, friends and colleagues. A Florida dad accused of starving his daughter to near death has taken the stand in his own trial. The man telling the jury he was never worried about the teen's health or appearance, claiming her diet was chemical-free.
A bedroom filled with soft toys, a circus tent and even a playpen in the living area. This is the home of a 17-year-old Floriat girl, allegedly starved and neglected by her parents. The teenager's father today taking the stand in the couple's trial, describing his daughter as a fussy eater, but saying she ate a very good diet. Becoming a vegetarian at 8 years old, transitioning to vegan at 12. Eating organic food that was as pure as possible and chemical-free. Her favourite food, pasta. But 4 years later, the teenager was admitted to hospital, weighing just 27 kilograms, with the prosecution alleging she was so malnourished, doctors worried she could die. The IT consultant also telling the jury his child watched shows like Married at First Sight and My Kitchen Rules. But a Perth Children's Hospital occupational therapist yesterday revealed the girl enjoyed shows like Teletubbies and The Wiggles during her near 6-week hospital admission, showing developmental signs of a 7-year-old. The Floriat father said he was never concerned about his daughter's appearance or health, telling the court he was small and slender as a child and that his wife's family are all very short. He also claims parents at the girls' ballet school made positive comments about his daughter, reinforcing to him that she was a strong and healthy dancer. Ezra Holt, 9 News.
It was a cooler than usual November day and Olivia, Donaldson, grey skies kept the sun hidden.
It sure did, Tomo, making way for another mild day here in Perth thanks to some cool southwesterly winds behind a cold front. Our maximum temperature only reached 21 degrees, well below the November average of 26.7. While the south of the state is experiencing cooler temperatures, you can see the contrast in colour compared to the north of the state, where a broad low-pressure trough is triggering some late spring heat. Port Hedland hit a sweltering 45.1 degrees this afternoon. There'll be more showers and possible thunderstorms in the south tomorrow, while a surface trough in our north will trigger some wet weather in the Pilbara and the Kimberley regions. But back in Perth, plenty of sunshine to look forward to next week, Tomo. I'll have those details a little later on.
Olivia, thank you. It is illegal next. Foreign criminals released from immigration detention no longer face curfew or ankle monitoring. The video that shows accused mum killer Andre Rubello repeatedly lying to police. New safety rules after a Boeing 737 water bomber crashed in the Great Southern. And another pinch me moment for cup-winning jockey Robbie Dolan alongside Ronan Keating. Returning to the US presidential election, and let's go live now to Alison Petrowski in Washington, D.C. Alison, this has been a bruising day for the Democrats.
Yeah, good evening to you, Tomo. And look, the next step for Kamala Harris is to make a concession speech. That has to happen. Her staff telling us that she will address America sometime today in the next few hours. So we'll wait and see when that happens. But look, Tomo, talking to her supporters as they left Howard University in droves today, they seemed dumbfounded, they were shocked, and there was a real sense that perhaps if it was another Republican rival, they would have accepted this defeat a bit more graciously. But because this was Donald Trump, because it was him, there was a sense of just desperation and real denial, Tomo. And look, you're right, the blows keep on coming for the Democrats. This evening, the Republicans have also managed to take control of the US Senate. They will take over in January. Tomo.
An extraordinary day and night. Alison Petrowski in Washington, thank you. Accused mum killer Andre Rubello has been shown repeatedly lying to police in a video played at his murder trial. The interview was recorded in September 2020 when the crypto trader was arrested over life insurance fraud 4 months after his mother's death. During questioning, Rubello denied any knowledge of the insurance policies he now admits taking out and asked officers if the air conditioning was off because it was quite warm. Court also heard a purchase was made at McDonald's Spearwood the morning of the alleged murder in Bicton, but police couldn't access the CCTV. Rubello denies killing his mother. A Perth grandmother attacked in her Girraween home says she's scared for the entire community. Ninette Simmons was allegedly bashed by a freed detainee. Today, the High Court ruled the use of ankle bracelets and curfews illegal.
Perth grandmother Ninette Simons is still scarred from a brutal assault, allegedly involving a convicted criminal released from immigration detention.
I'm just so traumatised and in fear of my life every day.
She now fears for everyone's safety after the High Court ruled the use of ankle bracelets and curfews is punitive and invalid for asylum seekers with criminal histories. The case, a 36-year-old Eritrean refugee who came to Australia in 2002. Convicted of burglary and recklessly causing injury 15 years later, he was sentenced to 18 months jail, then moved to immigration detention. After the High Court ruled indefinite detention unlawful last November, he was released. Since, he's been charged with 6 offences for breaking strict conditions, which have now been found unconstitutional.
215 violent non-citizen criminals are now free in the community without a curfew, without electronic monitoring.
From day one, there's been a complete botching of the handling of this case.
Ultimately, today's High Court ruling was out of the government's hands. Now, Labor is putting up a fight, signing off for new laws that will allow electronic monitoring devices and curfews.
The new laws will also increase the government's powers to be able to remove people from Australia.
They should be deported for their horrific crimes.
Claudia Verdoljak, 9 News.
New safety standards are being brought in for firefighting aircraft after a water bomber accident west of Esperance last year. 2 pilots managed to escape when the Boeing 737 crashed into the Fitzgerald River National Park. A report into the crash handed down today, prompting new minimum flight height of 200 feet.
If this event was to happen again over a built-up or a populated area, the circumstances could have been catastrophic.
DEFA says it's already implementing those safety standards. Cracks are showing in Israel's government over the handling of the war in Gaza. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has fired his defence minister over a, quote, crisis of trust. That decision inspiring widespread protests, including in the capital, Tel Aviv. And at least 89 people are still missing after deadly floods devastated eastern areas of Spain last week. Authorities say there could be others who haven't had their details registered yet. More than 200 people died in the disaster. For the second straight day, jockey Robbie Dolan has stolen the show. Fresh from winning the Melbourne Cup on Knight's Choice, the Irishman surprised fans at an Oaks Day lunch, joining pop star Ronan Keating for a special performance.
Robbie Dolan is just along for the ride.
You say it best when you say nothing at all.
Woo! Melbourne Cup winner 2024. Good on you, boy.
It's funny, I thought I reached a level, but it just keeps going and going, so I don't know what's going on, to be honest.
Dolan etched his name into history books yesterday, riding Knight's Choice to victory at Flemington. But how different his story could have been. In 2022, the Irishman was a contestant on The Voice.
Let the ashes fall, forget about me.
2 years on, he's still turning heads, singing a duet with pop star Ronan Keating at the Crown Oaks Day lunch.
He doesn't know the words of my songs, though. Highly offended. It's all good. He sounds amazing.
I don't even know the words.
But the duo was a hit.
You, my brown-eyed girl.
It's going to be as big a highlight as riding in a Melbourne Cup.
I remember watching him on The Voice. He was amazing.
Tomorrow, Dolan will go from the highs of winning the Melbourne Cup and performing duets alongside international music icons to settling up for a couple of rides at the Ipswich races. But life
is a roller coaster.
Just gotta ride it all night long.
Then, maybe the music career could be relaunched.
Again, I'm just going with the flow.
Nat Unides. 9 News.
What a second Trump presidency will mean for Australia. Up next this hour, National Affairs editor Andrew Probyn breaks it down. Under arrest over a blaze at a Midland vape shop. New detail on the disappearance of Lisa Govan in Kalgoorlie at an inquest into her death. And a call out to Perth mums and their babies over a groundbreaking vaccine trial. Today's US election has left many questioning how will it affect the global community and in particular how will it affect Australia. Our Prime Minister has just released his reaction congratulating Donald Trump on his election victory. Anthony Albanese saying Australia and America are old allies and true friends and he looks forward to working with the new president. While opposition leader Peter Dutton has also congratulated Trump and the Republican Party, saying when the US is strong and at its best, the world is at its best. Analysis now from National Affairs editor Andrew Probyn.
Australia's unique predicament is being squeezed between its most important defence ally, the United States, and its biggest trading partner, China. There are significant implications for our prosperity and regional security. Trump's once again threatening trade tariffs against Beijing, and Treasury is already starting to count the cost.
Imposition of trade restrictions such as tariffs typically lead to lower growth and higher inflation.
Of course, Australia's navigated Trump's unpredictability before. The trick is to remember he's transactional. If he thinks it's a good deal, he'll stick with it, which is why AUKUS will likely have Trump's support, given the US gets billions for providing nuclear submarines. But Australia will need Ambassador Kevin Rudd to have his ear.
If he can't do the job, if he can't get through the door and have the influence we need, then of course somebody else should take that on. But we wish him nothing but success.
Ambassador Rudd has been doing an outstanding job in the United States across the political spectrum.
Australia simply has to make it work.
46-year-old man has fronted court charged over a Midland tobacco store fire. He's accused of ramming a stolen ute into the shop, setting it and himself alight last month. The blaze spread to nearby businesses, causing more than $500,000 in damage. Police suspect others were involved.
We will find you, we will arrest you, and you can expect significant jail time.
Detectives tonight not ruling out links to the eastern states' tobacco wars. A bikie associate who partied with Lisa Govan the morning she vanished has denied knowledge of what happened to her. Trevor Atkinson telling an inquest today he assumed the young woman left his Kalgoorlie clubhouse alive.
Arrested and questioned 3 times over Lisa Govan's disappearance, Trevor Atkinson wasn't in the mood to provide more answers outside the coroner's court.
Are there certain things you feel you can't say as a past member of associate?
The former Club Dero's associate and member Andrew Edhouse were among the last to see Ms Govan alive at their Kalgoorlie clubhouse in 1999. Mr Atkinson denied trying to have sex with her or assaulting the 28-year-old, claiming he hadn't discussed the case with Edhouse in 25 years, which the coroner said he struggled to believe. Asked whether there was anything he could offer about the disappearance, he said, regretfully, no.
Don't you think that Lisa Govan's family deserve to know what happened to her?
Please come forward. We've waited 25 years. All I want is our daughter home.
Mr Atkinson testified in the days after the disappearance he was told to do a paint job inside the clubhouse, but said he couldn't answer whether that was to get rid of evidence. Cecily Richards, who'd visited the clubhouse earlier, testified she'd overheard Lisa Govan say, "If my hubby knew I was here, I'd be in trouble." She said she originally thought Ms Govan's boyfriend had been involved until detectives told her he had an airtight alibi. Kevin Smith, who delivered cocaine to the clubhouse that day, denied telling another man he saw Andrew Edhouse take a running jump to stomp on Lisa Govan's head. Jamie Freestone, 9 News.
Cold case detectives are launching a fresh bid to crack a 4-decade-old case, the suspected murder of schoolgirl Lisa Mott. The 12-year-old vanished more after playing at basketball courts in Collie with friends. Senior detectives today setting up a mobile facility on Forest Street, urging locals with information to speak with them. The WA Liberals and National Party alliance is at risk of unravelling tonight after opposition leader Shane Love promised to repeal the government's new gun laws if elected. The Liberals at odds with the decision.
The Nationals have taken the wrong approach. We're not entering into horse trading with the National Party.
Libby Medham calling on the Nationals to rule out forming a coalition with Labor. WA researchers are calling on Perth mothers and their babies to take part in a new vaccine study. Experts say it could provide broader protection against pneumococcal disease. Tracy Vo with the details.
Michael, this is a global study and WA is hoping to be the first to trial this new vaccine. The Kids Research Institute Australia is driving this study, which could protect babies against 21 strains of the bacteria. Doctors say almost 2/3 of serious pneumococcal disease cases in children under 5 years are not covered by the current 13-strain vaccine. Pneumococcus can cause pneumonia, ear infections and is the most common cause of bacterial meningitis in children. Up to a quarter are left with a neurological disability such as deafness or cerebral palsy. Researchers are looking for babies aged 6 weeks who haven't had their first lot of vaccines and women who are currently pregnant. Those in the study will be closely monitored by paediatricians for 18 months. More details can be found on the Kids Research Institute Australia website. More than 1,600 babies will be recruited and the trial in Australia is expected to start next month, Michael.
Tracy, thank you. Mystery solved. Scientists tell what's inside those black balls that were washed up on a Sydney beach. And why a wildlife warrior is joining a royal tour. But first, Matthew Pavlich is here with Sport and Pav. Josh Inglis is being handed more responsibility.
Yeah, he is, Tomo. It's a big summer ahead, of course, so a number of stars are being rested, which has opened the door for the West Aussie. Set in as skipper, but what else is Josh Inglis eyeing off? The times are changing. The AFL set to stray away from tradition and he may still be in recovery mode, but there's big things planned for the Melbourne Cup winning horse. A hot start to the summer is heating up for WA keeper Josh Inglis, named captain for Australia's upcoming T20 series against Pakistan. The English-born scorcher will also lead the third one-dayer here in Perth on Sunday as he eyes a future test spot.
Stepping up to the challenge of our next captain.
I'm really honoured and really privileged.
But still trying to shake his UK heritage.
He mentioned about maybe working on my Australian accent too, which is a nice little gag from George.
Josh Inglis, the 14th man to captain Australia's T20 team, filling in for fellow West Australian Mitch Marsh on leave. And his captaincy style is clear.
I sort of don't like seeing the game go flat and like to keep it moving and try to be creative.
The 29-year-old eyeing off a spot in the test side, but he doesn't hold a grudge to the man in his way, incumbent keeper Alex Carey.
It's not a rivalry. I think keepers always seem to look after each other and we're a bit of a group together, so no, it's good to see him doing well, but obviously I'd like to get into that side at some point.
There's a new captain at Sydney Thunder too. David Warner unveiled today his leadership ban lifted after 6 years.
You don't want to look back and go for a job interview and have, banned for life from a leadership perspective on your CV.
Providing closure on Sandpaper Gate.
The punishment that was handed down was there for a reason, and I thoroughly accept that. You're always going to be disappointed that you can't lead, but what was done, and I've moved on from that.
The former Test opener keeping a close eye on the next generation, including his likely replacement at the top of the order, Nathan McSweeney.
Looks a complete player, and I think he's a good fit with Uzi at the top of the order, which I think that's where Sammy Constance comes into it, potentially in a year's time if Uzi hangs up the boots.
Michael Stamp, 9 News.
Scorchers opener Beth Mooney admits the side needs to be putting more runs on the board despite an historic 5-wicket haul from Alana King, helping Perth to again defend a subpar batting total, defeating the Brisbane Heat by 28 runs.
We know the conditions, we know, what happens at what time of day, and our bowlers have just stood up beautifully. We probably need a little bit more from the batting group if we're being really critical, and hopefully Thursday night presents that opportunity for us.
The Scorchers face the Renegades tomorrow night at the Wacker. Wildcats coach John Rillie insists playing finals is still the club's goal despite an injury-riddled start to the season. Perth sits 6th on the ladder but have been without Bryce Cotton, Keanu Pinder and Dylan Windler during the opening 9 games.
That sport, that's our team right now, the opportunities that are afforded to everyone, and if we do truly have championship aspirations, good teams just find a way no matter what is put in front of them.
Windler is set to return tomorrow night against the reigning champions Tasmania at RAC Arena. Well, it seems the AFL is testing the waters for a night grand final, with the league today revealing the AFLW decider will be played under lights for the first time, with a 7:45 Eastern Daylight Savings Time locked in.
The girls that I've been in touch with are really excited to play under lights, and I think it changes the spectacle of it all.
I think it does as well. North Melbourne and Adelaide begin the final series on Friday, with Freo facing Essendon on Saturday. And more than 2 decades after winning her first Melbourne Cup, trainer Sheila Laxon has welcomed a second to her property. Knight's Choice is the hero this time, and he's relishing his newfound star status.
The first time was so nice, she had to do it twice.
It was just awesome. Awesome.
Sheila Laxon, now a 2-time Melbourne Cup winning trainer, and she has the perfect record. 2 horses entered, 2 cups won. First Ethereal back in 2001, and now Knight's Choice.
Yes, and maybe I should leave it at that, or maybe I'll come back again.
For Sheila, it was deja vu as Knight's Choice barreled down the famous Flemington Straight before edging over the line in a nail-biting photo finish.
I just saw him come past me, exactly the same place where Ethereal came past me. I just knew he was going to win because he had that incredible sprint finish. He's a real athlete. I've never known a horse like him. He's a freak.
This win almost didn't come to fruition for Sheila and co-trainer John Simons. Owner Cameron Bain actually knocked back a $2.3 million offer to sell the horse early in his career.
You don't get this sort of offer for a horse, and to win that sort of money, it's going to cost you a lot of money, and unless he wins the Melbourne Cup, you're never going to be vindicated. So he won the Melbourne Cup.
So what's next for Knight's Choice? Well, first, it's a well-deserved long break, but connections are now weighing up whether or not to go international and send him across to the Japan Cup.
Well, I put him out in the paddock this morning and he galloped around and he kicked and bucked, and yeah, he might like that.
Hard work, grit, determination. It was all worth it in the end.
You don't have to be a favourite. You don't have to be from Europe. You don't have to be costing $2.2 million or whatever. You can be an $85,000 yearling and win the Melbourne Cup for true blue Aussies, which is great.
Now Sheila's hoping it's not another 23 years to enjoy this moment all over again. Trent Neese, 9 News.
It is a great story indeed. Cameron Bancroft's last opportunity to potentially find a test spot starts tomorrow. Another Australia A chance, although Nathan McSweeney the likely one there. Yes. Plus, we check in with the Dockers ahead of their AFLW final on Saturday.
And I love the idea of a night final.
Me too.
I'll get a great crowd. Matthew, thank you. How are the share markets reacting to the outcome of the US election? That's next. And Queen Camilla, too sick to attend engagements. An update in a moment. And a few cloudy days before a sunny weekend. Olivia.
Tomo, our temperatures will be below average for the rest of the working week, but it is set to clear up and warm up over the weekend. I'll have your forecast coming up soon.
Queen Camilla has been forced to cancel her upcoming engagements due to illness. While she rests, Prince William has met with one of Australia's most familiar faces in Cape Town.
Prince William and the wildlife warrior.
Well, g'day, it's Robert here with, of course, Prince William. Lovely to see you. You too, Robert. How are you enjoying South Africa so far?
The future king and son of the croc hunter together in picturesque Cape Town, promoting conservation. The Prince of Wales' trip to South Africa set to culminate with the Earthshot Prize awards ceremony in a few hours. It's a Global Environment Award, of which Robert Irwin is an ambassador.
Do you have a favourite African animal?
Oh,
it's a tough question.
It's a really tough question, and my children ask me this regularly. I think I'm going to have to say the cheetah.
Cheetahs, okay.
Cheetahs.
Very cool, very cool.
As William's busy tour continues, his stepmother has been told by doctors to rest. Days after returning home from the Australian Royal Tour, Queen Camilla is unwell with a chest infection. As a result, the Queen has pulled out of public engagements for the rest of the week, including a reception here at the Palace for Great Britain's Olympians and Paralympians. It's believed Her Royal Highness is resting up at home with the King by her side. In London, Jessica Millward, 9 News.
A truck driver in the vicinity when William Tyrrell vanished from Kendall in 2014 has fronted an inquest into the boy's disappearance. He described seeing a ute and a BMW nearby, but did not say he spotted a car matching the Mazda 3, which police theorise William's foster mother used to move his body. William's foster mother has always denied any wrongdoing. Financial markets around the world are weighing up the outcome of the US election. More from finance editor Chris Kohler.
During a US election, the Australian share market actually gets a lot of attention because it's one of only a few open and trading during the vote count. Our market rose 0.8%. The Japanese Nikkei gained 2.3% at the time of the ASX close, and Wall Street futures had risen 1.3%. China is looking likely to cop tariffs in the near future, and the Hang Seng, which is Hong Kong's share market, was down sharply. Trump has also been pro-Bitcoin, and the cryptocurrency hit a new record high during the vote count. The US dollar rose, which pushed down the Aussie. It's now buying 65 US cents, 60 euro cents and 50 British pence. So what does all this mean for your money? Well, most of our superannuation accounts are exposed to shares here in the US and in other markets. Analysts say they expect an initial sugar hit to markets after the election, but then instability caused by potential trade restrictions. And shares are at record highs, so a correction might not be far away.
Thank you, Chris. Let's take a look at the price of unleaded petrol across Perth tomorrow. The average will be $1.78.3 a litre. But you can find it cheaper on Montana Crescent in Alkimos, on Dunreath Drive in Redcliffe and on Cumberland Road in Forestfield. Scientists have identified the makeup of black tar balls which sent Sydney beaches into lockdown last month. Thousands of chemicals were found, including faeces and meth.
In the lab at the University of New South Wales, scientists have been doing some dirty work uncovering a mystery that's baffled Sydney.
We were very surprised by what we found. I mean, we were certainly not expecting there to be such a complex mixture of things inside them.
Analysing samples of the black balls, thousands of chemicals were identified, including cooking oil, soap scum, PFAS, faeces, hair, veterinary drugs, heart medication and traces of methamphetamine and cannabis.
They are absolutely disgusting. They smell worse than anything you've ever smelt. I wouldn't want to be swimming with them.
These little balls of filth, believed to be a mix of domestic and industrial waste, bonded together by fatty acids and oils.
Some of the stuff that's in here is from fossil fuels, but most of it's not. And that's suggesting that it's from cooking oils or plant products, more modern things.
Chemicals that, if consumed, could be dangerous. What researchers don't know is exactly where these balls have come from. One theory is they were pumped out to sea through the sewage system before being washed back on shore. James Wilson, 9 News.
The sunshine returns this weekend. Olivia with your forecast after the break.
Welcome back. Plenty of cloud coverage today, and thanks to some south to southwesterly winds, it was a cooler than usual day too. We reached a top of just under 21 degrees after an overnight low of 16, and right now it's sitting around 17 degrees. To the charts, and the mercury soared in several states and territories today as a broad trough of low pressure stretches across the country. A surface trough will trigger some isolated showers and thunderstorms in the north of the state tomorrow and parts of the northern territory, so partly cloudy conditions in Darwin tomorrow. A top of 33 in Brisbane, a high chance of showers for Sydney, reaching 29 degrees. Rain also forecast for Melbourne, Canberra and Adelaide, and a partly cloudy 20 degrees, the top in Hobart. Back west, it'll be another scorcher in our north, 42 in Kununurra, 39 degrees in Port Hedland, and it's always sweltering in Marble Bar, isn't it? A top of 44 degrees there tomorrow. Moving further south, a chilly morning in Northam, just 6 degrees before a top of 27. Mostly sunny conditions in Esperance, and Albany can expect some showers reaching a cool 18 degrees. Out on the waters tomorrow, winds will be south to southeasterly up to 20 knots in the afternoon. Seas around 1 metre and swell up to 2 metres. Clear skies on the cards for Perth tomorrow. We should reach a top of 22 degrees after an overnight low of 10, with some light south to southwesterly winds around in the morning. Looking ahead, a possible shower on Friday to end the working week, up to 3 mils in the gauge. But it is set to clear up again just in time for the weekend. 27 degrees the top on Saturday, sunshine and 26 Sunday, warming to 28 Monday and 26 degrees both Tuesday and Wednesday. So a lovely weekend on the horizon and even better conditions to look forward to next week, Tomo.
Looks fantastic. Olivia, thank you. That is 9 News for this Wednesday, November 6th, the day we saw Donald Trump return to the US presidency. Stay with us. A Current Affair is next. Good night.